Hey everybody, welcome to the PixelBlips Podcast for September 1st, 2013. I'm Andy Ryan. I'm up all night to get flicky. Joining me is the man who gets up to get down, left, right, BA, select, and start, Dave DeWart. Dave, what have you been playing this week?
Wow, that was a lot of Wow, okay.
I went for a musical theme, up all night to get flicky. I thought that was very funny, and then I was like, what can I do for Dave? And then I heard that song was playing in my my Pandora, and I was like, oh yeah, I love that song.
Well, okay, so we got a new round of new Vita games, or new games off of PlayStation Plus this week. You got Machinarium for free, which I've been playing. Yep. It's a very old school, like Monkey Island type point-and-click adventure game. You collect the items.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of like the Neverwood or the Neverhood and and Seventh Guest kind of.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of moving into the room, you figure out the puzzle. Moving to the next room, figure out the puzzle.
Yeah,
it's not like Seventh Guest in the fact that like, bam, here's the puzzle, or like, or it's kind of like Myst.
Yeah, where you go to a screen and then you can't really leave the screen until you figure out how to get off of it. And like
I like the art in Machinarium.
Oh yeah, it's really it's a real cute hand-drawn, like you're this little robot guy, and I guess you're trying to get back to your girlfriend. There's not a lot of story early on. It's all kind of just shown through, like you sit there if you idle, like one of the little idle animations, he came up with a little thought bubble, and it was him and his girlfriend going to play paintball or something. They picked up little guns and they were shooting each other, and I'm assuming it's paintball. It's a really cute little story so far. Like I said, I'm only 3 or 4 screens in because they get real hard real fast.
Yeah, there's a very steep, like we said before, it's not a difficulty curve as much as it's a difficulty brick.
It's just a wall, and you got to figure out how to climb it. But it's really cute, and right now, if you're a PlayStation Plus subscriber, it's free, and I believe it's free for both the PS3 and the Vita, right?
Well, it was free for the PS3 before, at a point before. I don't know that it's free now.
Okay. Oh, it's free for the Vita right now.
Yeah.
So if you have a Vita, awesome. It makes a great little game. It's not very big, so if you only have a 4 gig card, you can definitely fit it on there with a couple other games. And also part of what came in this week and what's on sale is Spelunky. Now, I haven't purchased the game yet. I've been playing the demo. I figure once I get through the demo, then I'll be like, all right, maybe I want to keep playing this game and pay, what is it, $7 for it, $7.50?
Yeah, but that ends this Tuesday.
It ends Tuesday, so I'd have to figure that out. I got all day tomorrow to do it, so. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what I've been doing. I played Dragon's Crown on the PS3 with my wife finally. It looks better on the PS3, obviously. Because
bigger screen.
You have a larger screen. You probably have a little bit more horsepower for rendering. One of the things I didn't notice between the PS3 and the PS Vita version was, even though that most of the characters are like hand-drawn or they're drawn out, it kind of has a weird 3D look. Like, because I was playing the Warrior on the PS3 version, and you can see like his shoulder kind of moves forward and backwards when he moves, when he walks, but it kind of looks 3D instead of it just being whatever. So it was really neat. My wife had to relearn, like she didn't know that there were 2 sets of skill trees. Yeah. There was like the elf and the common, because she was playing the elf again. And
I love that elf.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. And when we were talking about it, you were saying like the fighter can juggle people. Yeah, he totally just air juggles the crap out of people. It's kind of nice.
It's really nice.
It's really neat. And
it harkens back to that Dungeons & Dragons Chronicles of Mystara and Knights of the Round really well.
So I mean, that's pretty much what I've been playing. I've been still playing my WoW characters, whatever. It's an MMO. You spend a lot of your time, if you play games and you play MMOs, you spend the most time playing an MMO, which kind of sucks. So I'm probably going to get out of WoW again because I'm getting bored with it again. So
yeah, that happens.
Yeah, well, there's not going to be any new content for a while. Patch content doesn't really matter because I don't raid like I used to. So what have you been up to?
I finished Castle of Illusion, the Genesis version.
Okay.
On my PS3. Yeah. Which totally reminded me how great that game is, how much I loved that. Like it was literally like, we're getting into autumn right now. Yeah. So when you get your winter sweaters out and stuff, and that first really cold day, you put like a winter sweater on, maybe it's been in the box all summer.
Smells old.
Smells kind of old, but it's comfortable, and it's like
you pull your hoodies out.
Yeah,
You've been sitting away for a while.
Yeah, and you're like, I'm back into this. That's how it felt playing Castle of Illusion with Mickey Mouse.
That's cool.
And then I love that ending where it does a total, spoiler alert, but it does a total, over 20 years old at this point. The game's old enough to drink. Anyway, so it does this really cool like fade out the end, and then it kind of flickers, a nice little flicker effect, and it pulls back, and you can see everyone's watching it in the movie theater, and maybe you're in the front. Yeah. And it's really nice like nod back to Mickey's past as a between the new serial and the main feature, they would show a cartoon. So
yeah, that's cool.
Let's see, what else did I play this week?
Is that game out yet? The new version?
No, the new version comes out in 2 days.
Okay, so because I saw it on the store when I was looking around yesterday because I was kind of looking to see.
Well, if you want the Genesis version, you have to pre-order it.
I have to buy it before Tuesday.
Yeah, and I think Tuesday's the day. The 3rd is the day it comes out. So I'm looking forward to playing that to see the difference. And
well, I mean, it's a reimagination. It's not like DuckTales where it's, hey, we're going to recreate most like 80 to 90% of the original game with this new engine. We're going to make this a full-on 3D Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, like it still happens in a 2D plane, but it's like that 2D plane. It's kind of like Klonoa. It wraps around in 3D space, so it's interesting. I'm very interested in
2.5D or something.
Yeah, 2.5Ds. All those Ds, son. Anyway, let's see, what else did I play this week? I played Spelunky, which I like Spelunky, although
it's not what you thought it was.
Yeah, when I bought it, I thought it was going to be Spelunker or Lode Runner, two very similar games, and it wasn't. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, like
not that it's bad, it's just not what you expected.
I kind of likened it to Rogue Legacy in that you can die real quickly and real easily if you don't take your time. And every time you die, the world is regenerated. Yeah. The main difference is though, like you don't carry anything over. You carry no money, no gold.
No, you carry gold. You carry your gold. You carry bombs, and you carry rope.
You carry.
But there's no like experience points or anything.
Yeah, there's no level up aspect to it. You don't do a whole lot more. It's all pretty much just skill based. And it was kind of interesting because when I was playing it, you run through the tutorial and it kind of tells you what to do. But I couldn't figure out how to pick stuff up, so I wound up like blowing holes in floors, and there's like these women you can rescue, the maidens or whatever they're called, and I wound up just like blowing the maidens to the point where they pass out, and then you have to like carry them to the wall, or carry them to the hole in the wall, and I can never figure out how to get them to that. And then I figured out, I played through the thing again, I was like, oh, I'm a dumbass, you press down and square. And, but it's a pretty neat little game. I've enjoyed what I've played of it.
So I also played a lot of Dragon's Crown Dragon's Fantasy.
Dragon Fantasy Book 1.
Book 1. I'm on Chapter 1, which is the Ogden chapter. It's really fun. It is straight up Dragon Warrior, Dragon Quest #1. The map's different, but like...
Is it super referential towards like those old games? Okay.
And it's funny. It's super referential into the old games, and you really like, instead of slimes, they're rock monsters.
Okay.
But it also has this very witty sense of humor about it that you can really feel the developer's voice coming through to you. Like, instead of just fighting a slime, or in this case a rock monster, you're fighting Mrs. Rock Monster. And instead of just attacking you, she shakes her Chardonnay at you. A few levels on, you'll fight teenage Rock Monster, who, when you kill him, instead of him dying, it goes... Teen Rock Monster thought this was super lame, so he's out of here.
Oh. So it's kind of funny along the lines of, what was that? The Call of Cthulhu JRPG. I forget, I can't remember what it's called. Or Breath of Death 7, which they're these top-down, pixelated JRPGs. I believe I know they're on PC because I own both of them on Steam, but I think they might also be on consoles or something.
A lot of the humor also originates, at least in this chapter that I'm playing, from the fact that you're playing a guy who was the hero, slayed all the dragons, is now semi-retired, and has decided a new evil has risen up and decided he's going to go out and do things again. Okay. So he's bald.
That's the little character they show in the icon in the store. Yeah. It's the little dude with the beard. And
and it's really good. And the story behind it is the developer was developing this game for a long time, even since he was like 13. And was developing it with a friend and everything. And he worked on other games for other companies, but then his dad passed away. Yeah. And he kind of decided, he's like, hey, I've never made anything that's mine, that I can be like really proud of. And so that's what set him on this journey of making this game.
To finish the game that he started.
And cool. It's the Ogden character, the main character, is supposedly like very referential to his father and how his father acts and what his father would say. And it's very good. And I always like... when you hear the author's voice come through something like very emotionally. Yeah,
that's cool. There's a nice that's an awesome story for behind that game. And there's multiple, like there's book 1 and then there's book 2 either out.
Book 2 is on its way.
Yeah, it's coming out soon. So I'm assuming there's going to be like 3 or 4.
Yeah. And because it's amazing how much I care for Ogden as a character, as opposed to like how much I would care for, let's say...
The dragons. Dragon Quest guy.
Yeah, because the
original
Dragon Quest guy
Dragon
never
Quest
talks.
guy. Yeah.
So it's like, oh.
Silent protagonist.
Yeah, Laroto never talks. So you're like, oh, but it's amazing how between what I know of the backstory of the development of the game and how the author's voice comes through and the cute little nods to real life, like the Teenage Rock Monster, Mr. and Mrs. Rock Monster, how all that comes through and kind of cements this as a very charming diversion.
Huh.
Even though it is like, just like Dragon Warrior 1, very repetitive, very grind heavy.
Yeah. But I mean, if with that kind of gameplay, if you can kind of spice it up with some, witty stuff with
flavor text.
Yeah, flavor text that comes up whenever you beat a monster, whenever you talk to a guy too many times in a row or something like that.
Yeah.
That's always it's always a nice way to just break up the monotony of old school JRPGs where we're like, okay, you need to kill this boss, but you can't kill him because you're not strong enough. You need to go grind out 5 levels.
Yes. So right now it's like 250. So that was definitely worth the 250. And
if you play it for more than 4 hours, it's probably
So now I'm looking for. Hopefully, I can get through it before
Dragon
Fantasy Book 2 drops. Because I really want to figure out. I want to find out where this goes.
Yeah.
And
so what is the? Are we hearing like the first book is like 10 hours or 15?
Well, I don't know.
Oh,
at the moment, I think I have 4.5 hours sunk into it.
Huh.
Not very much, and I'm almost to the end of Chapter 1. So Chapter 1 all deals with the Ogden character, Chapter 2 is a different character, Chapter 3 is a different character.
So at some point they all kind of converge, or?
That's Book 2. They all kind of come together. At the end of apparently, at the end of Chapter 3, they all come together, and it sets up Book 2.
Okay, that's cool. It seems like, when I first saw it, I was like, that looks really cool, but I don't really have time to play JRPGs. But I guess if I play it on my Vita, I can just pause it wherever, call it a day.
Yep, that's what I'm doing.
Later. So
that's exactly what I'm doing.
That's cool.
And it's nice. It's nice to get back into that mathematical grind.
Yeah. Well,
There's something very comforting about it.
I get that from playing other games.
Yeah. So let's see what else. Oh, we also had the Labor Day sale at Vintage Stock.
At Vintage Stock, and for those who don't know, Vintage Stock is very regional towards the Midwest. Here in the United States. So
I think it's also known as Movie Market or something.
Something like that. There's a couple different things, but it's basically they sell
used stuff,
used video games, but it's not like
figures,
and
DVDs, CDs, vinyl, posters,
comic books, all kinds of stuff, collectible things. But like a good chunk of their market is video games.
Yeah,
and
everything from new consoles on down.
Yeah, and they sell new copies of the games too. Like you can go in there and buy the new game on the day it comes out if you really want to. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times I go in there looking for NES or PS1 games or Game Boy Advance or Game Boy games.
Yeah.
So
I didn't look through Game Boy games because I was kind of ready to leave the store. I went to one where the AC was busted.
Yeah, and that is just not good.
And in late August, that's...
Especially this week. It was like the hottest week of the year for us so far.
In the Midwest, after a really mild summer. So anyway, I bought a buttload of Sega 32X games.
Because you need a lot of those, right?
Yeah, because I walked in and I didn't really... in my mind, I knew they had a copy of Valkyrie Profile for the PSP, which I'd never played Valkyrie Profile before. The PSP version is supposedly the one to get. So I was like, okay, I'm definitely getting that. What else do they have? And I went back there, and they had just stacks. Someone must have just traded in their 32X collection.
And you've been like, here's a whole bunch of 32X games. I'm never going to play them again.
Yes, well, no. But so any game that I didn't already have, I just bought. So I got...
And it was the buy two, get one free, so you got like every third one for free.
Yes. So I bought Supreme Warrior and Slam City starring Scottie Pippen, which I grew up in Chicago in the early 90s. So... Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan are like gods to me.
Well,
anyway, so they're both.
How many Scottie Pippen games were really made though?
Yeah. So they're both Sega CD 32X games.
Oh, lucky you! You've got both.
Yeah. So I played through Supreme Warrior quite a bit the other day, and it was actually pretty good. Like I really loved. I was really hoping when I saw the Sega CD 32X stack, I was like, oh, Night Trap. I can get the good version of Night Trap, and no, it didn't have Night Trap, but.
The good version is there a good version of Night Trap?
The better version of Night Trap.
The less technically flawed version.
Yes, so Supreme Warrior is set as like a Hong Kong action movie, so it has a cheesiness to it that is very pervasive.
That's cool.
I played it for a little bit, and like I figured out how to play, but then I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
Next game in the stack. So I bought Valkyrie Profile, which is very good.
Yeah.
Probably not going to play it right away, but I have a vacation coming up, so I'm kind of...
You got some time.
And I'm looking at all my RPGs that I have, and I'm like, which one of you is going to be taken out in these 3 days I'm going to have to myself?
Yeah.
Probably Breath of Fire 3. I've been pretty anxious to play that the whole time. Anyway, so And then I went over to the glass case. So in the glass case is where they keep their nice stuff.
The good stuff, or like the rare games, like the Earthbounds, which are way overpriced. Your anything that says Mario on it is usually in the glass case. All your Pokemon cards are in the glass case. So
out of the glass case, let's see. I'm trying to think in my mind. I bought Echo the Dolphin. Echo the Dolphin. Tides of Time for the Sega CD, complete, even with that little foam brick inside the really whole case. And
how much did that run you?
Oh, it was super cheap.
Oh, because it's Echo and it's not really something that's come up again.
Let's see. So I'm trying to think in my mind. What was that third game?
I have no idea.
Anyway, so I bought a Mega Man X, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
And let's see. So
basically, you spent a lot of money on video games this weekend.
I did. Well, I went to another store too. So at the other store, I bought Aladdin for the Super Nintendo, Separation Anxiety, the sequel to Maximum Carnage on the Super Nintendo, Metal Gear for the NES, because that's been a blind spot in my collection for a long time.
And I've played the original Metal Gear. Like, I played it forever ago. It was kind of like a top-down shooter, like Akari Warriors kind of?
No, it's still sneaking.
Really?
It's top-down like Akari Warriors, but you're still sneaking.
Huh. Then I was playing it wrong.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's see. So I bought Mickey Mania for the Super Nintendo, which is David Jaffe's first game, and is getting closer and closer to completing my Disney collection.
Yes.
I did pass up Mickey's Magical Quest 2, the Circus Catastrophe or something, on the Genesis, because the cart looked really ratty.
Like somebody had just stepped on it and the label was all tore up.
Yeah, like someone had peed on it probably.
Ew.
And I got another Mega Man X game.
So now you have all the ones for the PS1?
I have all the ones for the PS1.
Do you have any for the Super Nintendo?
I have Mega Man X1 for the Super Nintendo.
Good. At least you have one of them.
Yes. And there was a bunch of RPGs in the cases that I was like, I really want all those. But
they can't spend
RPGs, especially from the PS1 era, have the highest markup on them.
Oh, yeah. Well, and PS2 also have a lot of markup on the PS2 versions of a lot of those games, or the incarnations of those. What was I going to say? I was going to say something about something, and we'll talk about it later. So.
Yes. So anyway, speaking of old stuff and how I'm going to future buy vintage things.
Yeah, because we know you're going to buy this in 10 years or 5 years.
The Nintendo 2DS. I've always hated the clamshell design. I was going to get a Game Boy SP until I held one for a while. And the balance didn't feel right to me. It was really tight in my hands. And then,
it's like playing games on a flip phone.
Yeah. So the DS came out, and it kind of feels comfortable in my hands. I have a little bit bigger, longer fingers.
So you would have.
But then the DS Lite came out, and once again, the balance doesn't feel right to me. So when they announced, hey, here's the 2DS, ostensibly for children. Like, this is for the kids that, on the 3DS, how it says no one under 7 because it's going to mess up your eyes.
Yeah.
Supposedly, this is for those kids.
Or people who can't see 3D because they only have one good eye. I don't
really need 3D.
That's the one thing. And that's the other thing, and that's one of the things. There was a lot of things.
And this looks a lot like it's going to be a lot more comfortable in my hands. It's wider. It's broader
like holding
stance.
it looks like you're holding a Wii U tablet that goes about 2 inches below your palm. So you'll be able to go like this.
Like,
and
I've always liked
holding
the Vita, the PSP, and the Game Boy, the GBA, original GBA, because I just feel like the balance is in the center of my hands.
Yeah, and that's kind of how it looks. Like, I don't know if you've seen pictures of this new Game Boy.
2DS.
Yeah, 2DS. But it's like, I don't know, a little bit larger, about the same size of about half a sheet of paper.
Yep.
And the buttons, instead of being down toward the bottom screen,
they're
kind of like in the center between both screens.
So you can actually look at both screens.
Yeah, so you can see both screens, and they're both kind of like an equidistant amount of space away. So you don't have to go.
And it's cheaper than the 3DS.
Yes, it is, what, $130 when it comes out?
$130. So
instead
apparently,
of $180?
Yeah. Well, I think $170.
Yeah.
So apparently the 3D costs $40.
Which a lot of people on Twitter were saying, great, now we have a way to play all these games that are 3DS only without the 3D that nobody really used anyway.
Yeah.
And I can see where that would be an issue.
All DS games.
The one thing that bums me out about it,
one thing I'm excited for.
It doesn't have a GBA slot. They have it's not like they have the.
They got rid of the GBA slot a long time ago.
I know, but it's like at this point, you're making out. You gave this big thing, and this thing is larger than.
Let's see, the GBA died 9 years ago.
The GBA did die 9 years ago.
So putting that slot in there doesn't make a lot of sense. It makes about as much sense as putting a Nintendo an NES cart reader
on
an N64.
But I loved my NES. I still had an NES when I had an N64. So I think it, Nintendo knows that the people that play a lot of their games also love the GBA versions of those games, and they would like to have one device that plays them all. But at that point, you would have just a DS XL.
Yeah.
But then you can't play all your new spiffy 3DS games on it, and that's the trade-off.
So there's the trade-off. So the thing is Nintendo's selling this new hardware. I'm interested in it. I'm not going to buy it new. I'll wait until they're $50 or something.
Yeah, if you can get one for $50 new with a game.
Well, used, but so I can start building out a 3DS and DS library because I'm more excited for the DS library because we're getting to the spot now in the DS's lifespan where the prices are going to start coming down drastically on used stuff. So the other thing Nintendo announced was a price cut.
For the Wii U?
For the Wii U.
Yes.
They're phasing out the little boy version, the basic model.
The 8 gig or whatever it was. And then all Wii U's are going to be the 32 gigs, and they're all going to be like $200?
$300.
$300? Okay.
So $100. So the Pro model from last year is going to be the same price as the basic model.
Okay. I thought the Pro model was like $50 more instead of $100 more.
It was $50 more.
And now it's the same price, and you can't get the 8 gigs anymore.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's probably good because it's not selling very well.
No. And they announced a Legend of Zelda version that comes with a digital copy of Wind Waker, and
it's black with the stuff on it.
Yeah, and a digital copy of Nintendo Land, I think.
So it comes with two versions or two games.
Yeah, and it's digital download codes.
That's okay. I mean, if you're buying
there's a decal on the
box itself.
No, the pad.
Okay, the Wii U pad. Mm-hmm. Game pad, whatever the hell it's called. I
have a note for myself.
Yeah. Okay. It looks really neat. But
it needed a price cut.
It needed a price cut real bad.
It needs, but the problem is, I think, the price cut is going to help. It doesn't solve their problem.
That there's just not a lot of titles that non-Nintendo titles that people want to play, and the Nintendo titles aren't coming out fast enough.
Yeah, and no matter what Reggie Fils-Aimé or the people at Nintendo think, there is a large problem with people knowing what that thing is.
Yeah.
Like, well,
they still don't
play Wii game. Is it good? Is it for my Wii? Like, I already have a Wii, so I buy this thing and I can play Wii U games.
There's still that lack of brand definition because they just put a U at the end of the Wii, and now I still have people asking me, well,
they should have called it the Super Wii.
Or something like that, or the Wii 2, or something along those lines, because...
Or in their advertising, showed off the freaking box that it is, instead of the gamepad.
They showed it, that was the thing. Like they showed off the box, but it wasn't front and center. The gamepad was front and center. They showed it, like where you have the box standing here and the gamepad sitting next to it.
They advertised it how you would advertise a peripheral.
Yes, and that's what a lot of people think it is it's just an extra thing for their system.
And it's not just with the Wii and the Wii U. I mean, the problem is brand-wide. The funny thing, I wish I could remember who tweeted it, but they said, okay, so Nintendo announced a 2DS, so there's Nintendo DS games, and they'll play on a DS, but they'll also play on a 3DS, and they'll also play on a 2DS. And there's 3DS games, and they'll play on a 3DS and a 2DS, but they won't play on a DS, and there's no 2DS games because all the 2DS games are actually 3DS games without the 3D.
Yes, something along those
lines. And
it's like, yeah, I mean,
as opposed to Sony has said this is a PlayStation 3.
Yeah,
this is a PlayStation 4.
This is a
PlayStation Vita.
Or this is the Xbox 360. This is the Xbox One.
Yes.
Like you set up a clear. This is what this product is. These are the things that go with this product.
Yes.
Now you have the DS, the 3DS, the DSi, the 3DSi, I guess whatever. And then you're gonna have the 2DS.
Yes.
And you can play most of the games on all of them, but there's only anything that says 3DS can only be played on these over here, and then these over here can play GBA games also.
Yes.
It's like. For somebody who's not into games and somebody who doesn't have somebody in their life who can explain this stuff to them, it's confusing as hell.
For new consumers, which is where the Wii made most of its money.
And those new consumers now don't know what's going on. Yes. They're like, why are there no Wii games? Or why are there fewer Wii games coming out from my little Wiggle box? Although most of them probably still play Wii Bowling.
Or they've totally moved on. But so when the Wii came out, they had Wii Sports, which immediately, that was the game to have. Everyone was like, I want the box.
And it came packed in for a long time.
Yeah. I want the box that plays Wii Sports.
Yes.
That's it. Wii U still doesn't have that,
No,
and they're
they
not
don't.
going to have that going into this season.
Well, they have Wii U was Resort.
Nintendo Land.
Oh, Nintendo Land's that version of it? Okay, because Resort was like the last. It was like Wii Sports 2,
Yes.
sort of. But yeah, so Nintendo Land's there, but it
didn't light up in the cultural mindset
yeah.
the way that Wii Sports did.
Well, and also like all the other players, because most of the games are 4-player, right? One person gets the big pad, and then the other 3 or 4 players have to use a Wiimote and the nunchuck.
Yep.
The Wiimote and the nunchuck seems easier for newer people, people who don't game a lot. And so having the pad is kind of intimidating. That was part of the reason why a lot of people liked the Wii, was because it was a button, or it was a thing
just
that
like
had
your TV remote.
It looked like a TV remote and it had a tail with a little thumbstick on it.
Sometimes.
If you needed it. In most Wii sports games, you didn't even need it. You just needed the thing, and it was all movement based.
Yep.
And you would point it at whatever you wanted.
Yep.
It's like a magic wand. So
See, the thing is price cuts are good,
they are good.
but if you learned anything from the Vita, games sell systems,
Yes.
and to break into the mass consciousness, to go from the audience that is gamers and game enthusiasts and people that already have that language born into them,
Yeah.
that know games,
Well, guys like us who have been
or
playing
even-
games forever,
yeah,
and
or even people
people
that,
who watch us.
that play Madden, and people that play Call of Duty, and people even that play Candy Crush, that you just know this is how games work.
Yeah.
This is the language of this medium.
Mhm.
Outside of that, there's a lot of other people.
There's a lot of other people.
There's the majority.
I mean, there's like 7 billion people or 7.5
Yep.
billion in the world, and you're talking like our little community, the guys like us, are probably only a few 100 million.
Yeah. And I would say the people that understand gaming are only a few hundred
Yeah.
million. So to break into the other people, there have been certain games that people will see on TV and they just go, I don't care. I will learn the language of that medium to have that experience.
Well, it's weird because I've seen Candy Crush commercials. Who the hell thought we'd ever see commercials for Flash games?
Yes.
You know?
I mean, so when you
And
look back at history, like the games that did that, Pac-Man for the arcade,
Yeah.
Super Mario Brothers for the Nintendo, Tetris for the Game Boy, Final Fantasy VII. There wasn't really one for the Sega Genesis or the Super Nintendo, except I would say maybe Sonic.
Yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog would have been one of those. And maybe the Super Mario World, but
Yeah, but it didn't like break into
Yeah.
the mass. That's why the Super Nintendo had a problem beating the Sega Genesis.
yeah.
Even though they eventually did. So on this PlayStation, Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
People said, I want to play Final Fantasy VII, which was amazing considering Japanese RPGs have the most contextual language.
Yeah.
But the N64 didn't have one. Sega Saturn definitely didn't have one.
No.
The Dreamcast didn't have one.
No.
PlayStation 2, I would say it was Madden or it was...
Yeah, that's when Madden really became
or Metal
super,
Gear.
super popular.
I would say
yeah.
maybe Metal Gear.
Yeah.
Halo was definitely it on the Xbox.
Yeah.
By a long shot.
Yeah. Not
Call of Duty on the Xbox 360.
Yeah.
PlayStation 3 really hasn't had one, except for maybe Call of Duty. Wii Sports was that game.
for the Wii, that was the game.
So in the hollowed hall of games that crossed over,
Yeah.
Wii Sports, Final Fantasy VII, Super Mario Brothers,
Call of Duty
Pac-Man,
and Madden.
Tetris, Call of Duty, Madden. Those are like huge unit sellers.
Yeah, they are. And
That
those
just
are what
ballooned the industry,
those are what
ballooned the audience.
push the sales of consoles out the doors, because people want to play Madden,
Yep.
Call of Duty. You know, back then, people wanted to play Mario at home. You could play it in the arcade at $0.25 a pop, or you could drop however much and play it for as much as you want.
So Nintendo has a problem because with the Wii, they kind of just look back.
Yeah.
Super Mario Brothers was not a Famicom launch title. It was a launch title in the United States, but it wasn't a
here.
Famicom launch title.
No.
I don't know if you could call... Well, I guess an arcade launch title would be Space War,
Yeah.
because even Pong was the second there, but Pac-Man definitely wasn't a launch title for the
No,
arcade.
it wasn't.
Final Fantasy VII was not a launch title for
No,
the
that
PlayStation.
game came out a few years after the PS1 came
Yeah,
out.
and when the PS1 and the Sega Saturn were still in a dead heat when it came out, and
Yeah.
so Nintendo kind of doesn't know how to function, or has forgotten how to function,
it's
while
kinda-
it waits for that. This is the game that's going to break over.
And that's the thing.
Wind
you can't
Waker
really
is not
predict
going to
that.
break over because Wind Waker already didn't break over.
No, it didn't work for the the GameCube.
Yeah.
It was from all I understand, because I've never played it. It is a very good game, but it has like there's a chunk of it that everybody says sucks because you have to go so far.
There's a water temple version of it.
Yeah.
But look at it this way, like, we were talking about those hollowed video games that broke over. We didn't mention a Zelda title.
No.
And a Zelda title, like Ocarina of Time, repeatedly on many people's lists is the best game ever made. Definitely not on my list.
It is a very, I wouldn't say it's the best game ever made. I think the game I played the most when I had an N64 was probably Smash Brothers. And, you know, things like that. Like, coming up with a game that's going to work, producing it and getting it out and getting it, you know, getting it to market and getting it advertised and all that is not something that you can just predict. You can't just predict, hey, this game is going to sell millions and millions of units.
Clue.
You always hope that game, the game that you're making right now, is going to be the one that does it for the system, but you don't know that.
Like, I've been reading a lot on Street Fighter 2, because Street Fighter 2 is one of those games that broke into the mass consciousness.
Yeah.
People went to arcades again after not going to arcades ever, or being gone for a very long time, and wanted to play Street Fighter 2. And they basically said, when we were finishing that game, we knew it was really good.
Yeah.
We knew that it was a good game.
We didn't know how good. We didn't know how much people were going to gravitate towards it.
Yeah, and then you hear Seth Killian talk about it, and he's like, it had great music. It had great graphics for the time.
Yeah.
It had great characters, great personality, great moves, great gameplay. All these things were great, and it blew up.
And it was balanced. Like, it was a pretty balanced fighting game. Now, there weren't a lot of fighting games prior to Street Fighter 2 that a lot of people knew about.
Well, that's the other thing. So compare Street Fighter 2 to a game that came out near it, Fatal Fury. Like, Fatal Fury, to me, King of Fighter series, is just as balanced, just as good, but it just doesn't have that extra thing. Now, back to Nintendo. Back to Nintendo, a price cut's good. The 2DS is a great idea, and I'm really behind it 100%.
Yeah, and it seems like it's a really great way to get people into the market who, like I said, don't want the clamshell, don't want the 3D because they're never going to use it or because they can't use it.
But like, look what games brought not the 2DS. Oh, this is going to drive me effing crazy. Look at what games brought the DS into the mainstream. Brain Age. That Nintendogs.
And like Nintendo and all that stuff.
Nintendogs, all that stuff. And now we're getting kind of, the 3DS got a really big bump into the mainstream from Animal Crossing.
Yeah, Animal Crossing. Oh, God.
I've had people at my job who don't play video games be like, so what's this Animal Crossing thing about? You know? So it's starting to get there. Like, maybe Animal Crossing will be the 3DS's thing that pushes in the mainstream. I don't think it will be, though. But maybe. So at the moment, Nintendo's just kind of treading water before they get that thing that's going to push them over the top.
And they don't know what it's going to be. I mean, I don't think Wonderful 101 is going to do it.
No.
I'm pretty sure that is the Year of Luigi, like that WiiU out yet?
It's already out.
Okay, and obviously that's not doing it because I'm not hearing.
Because New Super Mario Brothers WiiU didn't do it.
No, you know, they're trying the old tricks of, hey, let's throw a Mario game at it. Hey, let's throw a Zelda game at it. Hey, let's do this. Maybe they just need to try something different. Like Pikmin isn't doing it. The new Pikmin isn't doing it. You know, they need to find something. I don't know what that something is. No. Something that the Wii U can do that nobody else can do.
Here's the thing. You really don't know that something until you see that something.
Until it comes out and people start
like when I played Call of Duty 4, I rented it like a couple weeks after it came out, and I was like, this upgrade system on a freaking multiplayer shooter is really fun, and it really makes me want to come back to it. As opposed to normal multiplayer shooters, which just had normal rounds and didn't carry over, you never got better.
Yeah, like Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike would, you'd load out your character, but you'd have to do that every time. You'd have to do this. Now, I mean, maybe it kind of iterated on what Counter-Strike did, right? Like, you could make yourself a
but there were perks, and
then
you wanted to get a kill streak and everything, and like
because you got more experience or whatever.
Yeah, and
they added RPG elements to a shooter.
Yeah, and the pop happened basically,
and that's what it takes, and that's what made Call of Duty the big franchise it is now. Is them changing up the formula enough to keep it familiar, but to be like, hey, I got all these awesome new features, and this is what gamers are gonna love.
Yes. So at the moment they're treading water, which isn't bad. It's definitely not going to keep you from drowning, but treading water is not horrible, and they're waiting. And the problem is, Nintendo doesn't have the mind share anymore to just tread water forever. No. We don't call the system Nintendo systems. In Europe, they call them PlayStations, even if it's a freaking Xbox, which is weird. And here, it's all you're hearing about is Xbox. Because these two huge companies, which, if anything, the last 5 years of Sony has shown, we can lose the gross national product of many countries combined and keep going.
Yeah, well, it's Sony. They have multiple divisions. They're one big ass company that does a lot of stuff.
Yes.
So yeah, their games company might be losing money, but their movies company, I don't know if these are actually true, but their movies company and their TV manufacturers and their DVD players and all this other stuff are making them at least enough money to cover up the losses for losing much on games.
So I guess what I'm saying is Sony's going to come out big, Microsoft's going to come out big. Is that enough that Nintendo, while they're treading water, can survive? Like maybe you get hit by 2 tsunamis and you're still treading water. And if anyone could do it, it's Nintendo.
Yeah, I mean, they
have the fan base, they have the built-in people, they have
money.
the marketable icons. Yeah. But
they just need to do something that's going to start pushing units and actually making them, or
because
not even them
they're
specifically.
treating the Wii U like it's the Wii because they didn't have to do anything to sell the Wii because Wii Sports happened.
Yeah, and that was.
And now they're like,
great,
oh wait, no one wants the Wii U. Why? Well, we did the exact same thing. We did Nintendo Land, which is going to show you how to use the thing, but it's not blowing up.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, because and here's the thing, like.
So third parties are already like very wary of them.
Well, and now that you've got these, it is obviously not as powerful as the new systems, right? Like, so developers who are making Call of Duty can't make Call of Duty the same on the Xbox One and the PS4 as they will have to like do for the Wii U.
The Wii U is going to be like
the Wii U is going to be
the PS2 version of like there's a new PS2 version of FIFA coming out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's what we're going to end up with the Wii U. It's going to be this is the last generation's version of this game. And it's going to be good during this transition period. It won't matter that much.
But in a couple of years, not so much.
Same thing with the Wii.
Yeah.
So to wrap it up, I really want that 2DS.
Yeah, the
I think
2DS
it's a great
looks cool.
idea.
I probably can't convince my wife to let me spend the money to buy one. Not even in a few years.
But if I wasn't buying a PS4 this year, and they said, here's the 2DS, and it comes with an eShop version of Mario Land, an eShop version of the Oracle of Ages, Oracle of Seasons, and an actual carded version of
something.
Ocarina of Time 3D.
Yeah.
$99. I would say, yeah, okay.
That'd be cool.
If we got that GameCube, the GameCube sold the most when they had that GameCube bundle that had Wind Waker and Metroid Prime in it.
Yeah.
For $99.
Well, because that was a great deal because you were getting 2 games and the system for the price of the 2 games, basically.
Yes. I see that happening with the Wii.
Yeah, that'll happen with the Wii or the Wii U.
Wii U.
At some point, that'll happen with the Wii U. Yeah, I'm sure they'll have a download code for a game, and then you'll get a box retail.
They already
version.
have it. Here's you spend $300 and you get Wind Waker HD.
Yeah. Well, when it comes out.
Yeah.
This is going to be when Wind Waker comes out, right? They're going to have this special version. Okay.
Yes.
That's cool.
So,
I mean, and that sounds like a really good way, like for people who have been waiting for a new Zelda game to come out for the Wii U.
Yeah.
If you've never played Wind Waker, that is a new Zelda game to you. Yes. So, if you want to drop $300 on it, be my guest.
Yeah. So, Nintendo's treading water, and that's not bad.
No.
That's what I want to say. Don't forget to spay and neuter Pokemon. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to share the video if you have people out there that you think will like what we say. So, have a good day.